So the countdown is on for Africa's biggest energy sector annual knowledge event for this year, the brainchild of the African Energy Chamber. Thousands of delegates from around the world and within the continent will spend some 5 days deliberating on key developments within the oil and gas industry and a whole lot more. Let's touch base now with the AEC's team in South Africa, led by Ayuk, the executive chairman of the African Energy Chamber. Great to see you again tonight, my friend, on our Rise Exchange.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Thank you very much for making it here on the show again. Give me the central message. What would that be for the forthcoming African Energy Week 2024 and why?
It's going to be drill, baby, drill. We have so much ambition and so much energy prospects in Africa. We can't stop but drill right now. I think Africa Energy Week is going to be the perfect place to see how we're going to harness exploration opportunities in Mozambique, Namibia, Nigeria, right down to Sierra Leone, and also look at North Africa. Our central message is Africa is not ready to back down and leave its resources in the ground. We are going to use an all of the above energy policy. That means we'll use oil, we'll use natural gas, we'll use coal, we'll use solar, wind, and heck, we'll use the fancy energies called hydrogen to really develop and industrialize Africa. This is not the time for us to leave our resources in the ground. That would be the message, and we're going to hunt that message very strong in Cape Town.
Ayuk, this year's edition of the annual event comes against the backdrop of increased call for the boycott of investments in Africa's oil and gas. Almost on a weekly basis, your advocacy group in South Africa is issuing statements about organizations asking Africa to step down, to take the foot off the gas, as it were, in a manner of speaking. For example, the multi-billion-dollar East African pipeline corridor in Uganda, which the IMF says will be a major game changer for Uganda and takes that country's growth to a double digit. That was what the IMF said just about a week ago. Some folks within the Western economies around in the world doesn't want that to happen. How would this be addressed at the summit? How would you balance those who would want to talk about the environment vis-a-vis the benefits, the huge benefits that, for example, the Ugandan pipeline project will be for East Africa, as well as Nigeria, Senegal, and elsewhere?
We have to be building pipelines all across Africa. That's what we need to be doing right now. The idea that Africans should abandon their oil and gas resources because some very wealthy person living in Paris or London or Norway is telling us to do that, that's just insane. The problem is that we're seeing a very big effect of a new kind of colonial mindset that tells poor people that they should leave their resources in the ground. I think it's offensive to people in Uganda. It's acting like they don't know what is good for them. Listen, this East African crude oil pipeline is one of the best projects you have in the world, bar none. I've been there personally with Total Energy staff. I've gone to the Murchison Falls. I've seen everything. It is working, and we're going to build that pipeline, and we would export and also use that crude oil. I think it is also hypocritical that a continent with less than 3% greenhouse gas emission is being told to leave its resources on the ground, while Norway is doing $18 billion in infield development. The UK is doing more billions and billions more in coal, and even the US is doing 12 million to 13 million barrels a day. But what they're so gung-ho on an African nation abandoning its resources in the ground. We should not be listening to that message. Don't do what they tell you to do. Do what they do. And I think that message is going to come right across Africa Energy Week in Cape Town. We are going to do what they do. We are not going to back down. And no African country in this day and age, with this much energy poverty, so many of our young people not having jobs, women not having clean cooking technologies like LPG, any African leader that turns around and say, let's abandon resources in the ground for some funny gift of aid, then we are really leading in Africa to the abyss. We would not stand for that. We are going to drill and produce every drop of hydrocarbon we can find in the ground to develop this continent. That is the position of the African Energy Chamber, and no amount of bullying from Western institutions will make us back down.
Well, let's talk about the faculty of speakers and top dignitaries going to Cape Town. NJ.
We have some amazing speakers. We have speakers coming from the U.S. government, from various European government. Heck, we even had Prince Harry is going to be in town during that week. We're going to welcome him. The IEA, they have not been our best friends, but we're going to welcome them. OPEC is going to be there. From the international oil and gas companies, from Exxon to Chevron to ENI, African independents like Owando, Perenco, Sahara, Platform, Fresh ENP, they're all going to be there, but we're also going to have renewable energy producers like EDF and hydrogen producers like Hyphen being there. Great caliber of speakers, great companies. A few years ago, they used to be with the guys that fled Africa for Dubai, but right now they're all with Africa Energy Week. I mean, Africa All Week is dead. It's old, it's past. Those guys are weird. Africa has turned the page away from them. And the big focus right now in Africa is Africa Energy Week. And I'm excited that Africans are waking up and the oil industry is waking up, and they're starting. The support we're getting across Africa is because we stand for something. We stand for developing this industry. We stand for doing it sustainably. And we stand for speaking truth to power. That we need to drive up an enabling environment to ensure that these investments come in, and not these green technologies that they're trying to bring from London, thinking that we're still fools of the past. We've turned the page and we're not going to go back there anymore.
Interesting, you've got some partnerships such as the Afrexim Bank. I'm sure President Benedict of the Afrexim Bank, Orama, will be speaking, as well as the head of the APPO, Dr. Farouk Kumar, as well as the head of the OPEC itself. What would be the key message from these key individuals as head of strategic institutions investing in oil and gas, hydrogen, and whatever we can get out of the ground on the African continent? What do you think they will be speaking to?
It's all about the Benjamins. Professor Rama is going to be speaking about money. He has been so strong on Africa and not backing down on the pressures. He is going to talk about the Africa Energy Bank, thanks to his great work with Omar Farouk, and he is going to rally a lot of people behind this bank, because we need to have African solutions and energy industry solutions to this. We can't continue to wait for a benevolent white knight to come save us. I always say Wakanda Forever is a good movie, but the Black Panther is not coming. We're going to have to do this ourselves. And I think Professor Rama represents deals. They're going to put together more than $15 billion of energy deals that we already have in counting at Africa Energy Week. You're going to be so shocked how much deals you will sign. You just saw they put in $760 million with Rwanda to do a big ticket item right there in Nigeria. But you just wait. You're going to be shocked by how much money is going to go into Africa, how much is going to go into high impact drilling. We're going to be announcing that. I've never been so excited to announce big deals like what I'm looking at this year. We've seen deals out of Angola. We've seen Afentra from the UK going into exploration and also producing fields in Angola. And we've seen even deals around pipeline and refineries. We're going all through upstream, midstream, downstream. It's Africa's time, and I can't wait to welcome Professor Rama, Dr. Farouk, and my good friend and brother, Haitham Al-Guys from OPEC.
The COP29 in Azerbaijan in Baku is just a couple of months down the line. What will be the discussions at the African Energy Week in preparation for that, as far as what the Africa's agenda should be for COP29? From Cape Town, we're going to take a message to COP29 in Baku. So we cannot be like a John the Baptist. We're going to be the forerunners to Baku. This is Africa's last and largest gathering. We're going to come out the United Africa message going into Baku. And that message is going to be very strong. And no matter what you say, do not pry this oil out of our hands, because we need it for our development.
Face down, face out. We don't believe in that. Just like the Europeans don't believe in face down or face out. We're going to do exactly what they do. We're happy going into Baku, and I encourage many Africans to go there and make our voices heard, because if we don't have a seat on the table, we're going to be on the menu. And I think the time for Africa to be on the menu is over. That's why, Borson, I opposed vigorously Africa Oil Week when they went to Dubai, abandoning Africa. I opposed them vigorously when they signed up with Sankofa Events, which it's a nobody. It's basically a shell company that they moved it to, and they wanted the blackface to be on it so that they could say, oh, now you have an African, but they still on the damn thing. But we have to make sure that we beat them, and beat them very hard. And that's why we're calling out these guys. But COP28, COP29 in Baku, we're going to come out there really strong. And Africa is going to make its voice heard. And you can count on me doing that, because you know one thing about me, boys, and I'm not going to be bullied or pushed around by everybody. I know how to bully bullies. And you saw what I did to Africa all week.
Do we have any progress reports, by the way, on the Africa Energy Week, which is to be headquartered in Nigeria? But how much do we know at the moment? Would this still be on the table for discussion at the AEW2024 in November?
The Africa Energy Bank is going very well. You saw the minister from Nigeria basically he assured everybody they're going to meet their obligations. But sometimes you always have challenges in putting capital together. That's why we need to tap into the $2.3 trillion of private capital across Africa and really try to develop this bank. It makes no sense for you to put your money in financial institutions in Western countries that pledge not to finance you because of their ESG rankings that counts only to you. Put that money where you're going to work. Don't buy where you can work. I think this is an exact example of that, and we are going to be driving that. That's why I'm very happy that Professor Rama is going to be in Cape Town. He's going to rally African leaders, heads of states, ministers, and hold them accountable to keep to their commitment to Africa. We have to keep our commitment to Nigeria. It's not a Nigeria issue alone. It's not a Nigerian bank. It's an African bank. And so all of Africa has to come together and work with the host nation to ensure that this bank is fully functional. Then we'll move to the next level.
On a final note, we also saw that there'll be some award for some companies and deals and projects signed so far this year. Some companies got some deals on the table being nominated. For example, Wando, Nigeria, for its nearly $1 billion deal. How much more do we see in terms of these categories that will be signing up for honors and doing Africa proud at the conference? NJ.
Boys, if you sign a $5 billion deal, I'll nominate you for an award. So I'm looking forward to you signing a $5 billion deal very soon. But I can tell you this, there's going to be some great categories, companies working on clean cooking technologies to drive up and help us beat up energy poverty. Companies that are doing work on local content to really get more Africans and more women hired in jobs. And companies that are working on exploration to see that we get more high impact wells being drilled across, but companies that have stayed loyal to the continent, not like Africa Oil we got run away to Dubai. We want these companies that were very firm and committed to the continent. We want to reward them, and I think we have an amazing panel of judges. S&P Global, Reichstad, some of the prim names in media. They are going to be looking at these categories judiciously, but we also have the persons of the year, and you'll be very surprised. We have an award dedicated to one of my heroes, one of my mentors, Mohammed Sanusi Bakindo. There is a Lifetime Achievement Award named under this great Nigerian who left us a few years ago. And you have some very special people that will be receiving that. And God bless him. And may his soul rest in peace and keep looking over us. Bakindo, my hero.
Well, thank you so much for those heads up on the forthcoming African Energy Week. So much, NJ Ayuk in Johannesburg. Thank you so much. Wish you and your team all the best in November.